Hello, Perfect Death here with a voiceover for my Cataclysm A Dark Days Ahead video that I did. I came back from a vacation where I went hiking, and then I ended up, I guess, in my Streamlabs OBS recording thing. Somehow I pressed a button that must have disabled the mic. I have no idea what hotkey that is, but anyway, for the most part in this video, it's about an hour and 10 minutes long. I might do a little bit of skipping through some of it, but the basics of what's going on is I did some sorting. I built a couple of bits of furniture. For the most part, I ended up dragging out some things into a pond area where I was going to clean them out. And also because it's just right around that time where night is falling. And yeah, I take a look over here and I show where my wheelbarrow is, where my clothing and stuff is going to be. And I decide I'm going to go clear out some of those buildings nearby. And my health is in pretty good shape. So I ended up just wandering on over there, clear those two places out, bust the fire or the wood cutting axe out, and then go and check out what this area is. Drop my duffel bag right near the fence here. It's a pretty good idea just in case I see, things go wrong. Enter into the building and start checking around. I see a fat zombie hanging out by the pool down there and decide, let's go. Let's throw down, chop him up with the axe. Sent him reeling for a 54 damage crit. Didn't have any good loot on him. And check out some of the other items in the area. For the most part, I'm planning on spending more time doing some clearing of this town area. And this video is kind of part one of it, but I do a bit of crafting, and mostly that's just to pass the time so that it's no longer nighttime, as my character's not the best at seeing things at night. And I ended up deciding, I'll go check out some of these buildings while I've got pretty good sight just before it gets too dark. I turn on my flashlight and I peek down the stairs, and I see that there's a tough zombie hiding downstairs. He won't know that I have that light on, but I'm just like, he's only one zombie. Let's go. Get some caffeinated gum out of him and some pork sticks. Also some more cell phones, because disassembling those for light high capacity batteries is always good. And then check out what's in these boxes over here. Lye powder is pretty useful. And the shooter earmuffs I notice here, I take those along with the map. The earmuffs, these ones you can swap the batteries out of them. There's another type of ear plug that has batteries integrated into it, and you just throw them into a charger and they automatically recharge. These ones have, it looks like they take up a little more space, and you can put better batteries into them, I guess, for longer use, but they let you hear things while you're still somewhat deafened. They're good for keeping around in case there's a screeching zombie. Some of the stronger mutated screeching zombies can daze you, and then that just gives you a bunch of stat debuffs, so not fun there. I pick my duffel bag back up, and I head up to the next building. Now, I did take a look at what some of the tools I have in my backpack are. I have an EMF reader, and I took a look at what that did, and it lets you detect electrical stuff. So if there's like a shocker zombie around, it's apparently able to help you detect that zombie. So I go and check that building. It's locked. At some point, I might look at crafting some lock picks so that I can practice my devices and then do a little bit of lock picking on some of these doors. But that does take time, and I'm planning on using most of my time to just fight zombies. Smash through, climb through the kitchen, and then do a quick sweep around, open up the door there, and then there's a doggy. Breaks through the window, I chop him up. And then we can see that there's some books and some items in there. Nothing too useful. Go out of the bathroom and check out what's in the area. Kind of looking to see if there's any, like, lots of leather gear, because then I can take it apart and then I'll have some nice leather. And then, of course, kitchen's always useful. Over in the garage here, we can see that there is some wire, I believe, along with like binoculars and hydrogen peroxide. So eventually I'll come and swing by here later, but I'm gonna go and secure the perimeter because my main thing is I want to kill some zombies, and there's an RV here. So I take a look what's inside the RV. And it has a mini fridge and a kitchen unit. Both of those are quite good to take out and put into my APC. The kitchen unit is going to cook some food, and the fridge is going to keep some food cool. Useful for trekking out and going places. It has a bed in it, but I already installed a bed. So I take a look, and it does have some gas. It's got a dead battery, but it does have a large storage battery, which is also useful for me to loot, and it's lacking wheels. So that's a key target to go and loot later on, because it will have that storage battery, that kitchen, and the fridge. And I take a look inside of the pub here, and I turn my flashlight on to get a good look. You can see there's a lot of booze in the area. My character is probably not going to do much with alcohol, just because they are lightweight and weak stomach. So it is good to sell to the free traders over at the refugee center. And then there's a little kitchen area in the back, and a roof area here which has a solar panel on it. And when it's light, because I do try to deconstruct it, but too dark, and I don't really want to turn my light on just yet, just for a solar panel. But it will be useful to go back to this building and get the solar panel out of there, as then I can get more electricity, because my current solar panels are pretty damaged, and the more damaged they are, the less power they provide to me. So yeah, it's too dark. So I'm like, okay, I'll just go kill some more zombies. Now over here, there's this little sports center, and it's got some roses planted. That's a good garden for wintertime, because you'll get rose hips, and rose hips are loaded with vitamin C, and great for avoiding scurvy, but you can only really harvest them in the winter. So I'm just taking a look, and this building is very empty. It's got some clothing and stuff, but there's nothing to fight here. Some showers, some equipment for exercising, toilets. And then now we find where some more of the zombies are. And up here, there's a couple just hanging out there. I do have the current Altica Chibi graphics pack. It does have different sprite pack models now. They've changed some of these zombie types, or at least how they look. And so I keep seeing them, and I'm like, oh, is that a new zombie type, or is it like a more dangerous type? And it's just regular ones. So I got hit by that zombie right in the right arm. That's going to be a bit of a trend. I don't have very good arm armor or leg armor, so I will have to look at making some different types of armor for those body parts. I have good torso armor, but yeah, right there, I took quite a few hits. Destroyed bandages on my leg and stuff like that. So I took a look, like, is that what's causing me to miss? And one of them is from a torso encumbrance, and another is just I missed. I didn't realize zombies had really good dodge, but yeah, I just missed quite a bit. Then I go pulp them up, get their smartphones, and then go fight the next one. They haven't hit me hard enough to really cause a lot of damage. And there's a smartphone. Now those are cell phones. Smartphones you have to disassemble to get the battery out. Those you can just unload, like I just did there. And you pull out the high capacity battery right away. Yeah, the MP3 player just has that small battery, which I don't really need those. And then there's a tough zombie who, of course, I miss. He gets some hits in on me, and it makes my right arm more damaged. So that's a lot of hits landing on that arm. So I take my axe off and I wait, and then unload that cell phone that he's got. Take my axe back out, and then continue my little sweep. Because it's still that 9:30 period, but gradually that vision range of mine is going to shrink more and more as it gets gradually darker. Yeah, and then there's some weird thing where a monster was spawning on a monster or something. I don't know. Yeah, there's a couple more zombies up here. And then a decayed zombie who managed to hit me. But it was a torso hit, and I've got pretty good torso armor. And now I'm starting to run out of space in my pockets. So I'm like, you know what, let's just go back. I want to heal my arm, so just chop up this zombie, smash him up. A cash card with only 469, and that's not very much. Now, cash cards can be useful. They let you get into vending machines and potentially gas pumps if you need fuel. I'm not too worried about that, but I do notice this. I'm like, why are there big appliances blocking this doorway? So I managed to somehow pull them out. My character gets really strained trying to drag them. So I just decided, okay, well, I moved it enough. And then go and check it out. It's kind of like somebody boarded up their little building here. It doesn't really have much in it. He does have quite a bit of food, at least, so I'm not really looking to loot right now. I'm just looking to explore and kill zombies, clear the areas out. Lots of dry goods, lots of like spices, and then I find a microwave, and that, if you disassemble it, will have a useful part to it. And apparently they're gonna add more microwaves, because right now they're very rare because people just haven't added them into their maps. And so but yeah, they do have some useful parts in them, and considering everybody has a microwave in their houses, the fact that most houses don't have microwaves is a bit odd. But like I said, that's eventually going to change as people work on editing their map files and stuff for when they generate a house. So climbing through this building just to take a look. I noticed I didn't fully scout it out. This was where I fought some zombies earlier, and yeah, some flour and some other things in there. And then there's also like this other little closet room there. And just hop out that window. And at this point, I think I'm just gonna head back to grab my duffel bag, and I believe then I go and I loot up some of the houses in this area. At least fill up my duffel bag full of, dried foods. I start trying to avoid picking up more of the spices and things like the cinnamon and things like that. I do also bandage myself with the good bandages to try to heal my arm quick. But yeah, there is, as you can see, I like sugar's a useful item to get. Salt is also something that I do also try to grab a lot of. I take a look in here. I don't care about the light batteries anymore. I want high capacity only now. And there's some detergent, and I do grab some of the detergent and add it to my soap pile by the pond. So as I go around there, I check some other stuff. There's some books like CQB Monthly, which I think it just teaches you how to, if you have it, you can do the practicing for melee, but I already have over level 3 melee. Get some wires. And over there, I drop off my detergent. This is where my pile of stuff I'm going to clean up is. Head into this place. And I do most of the same, right? I grab some of the detergent, some cotton patches, because I can make bandages out of them, and some of the things like the jam, the lemon, the bird eggs. I think I got a bunch of bird eggs from the other house as well. But yeah, you can see there's like black pepper, cinnamon, curry powder, Italian seasoning, and maybe eventually I'll grab those, but for the most part, salt is going to be more useful, and sugar is usually more useful because you can craft quite a few other things with those. So, and then yeah, lots of dried goods, but I'm starting to hit the limit, and a big part of that is the medium condensed milk can. It's good for me to trade. My character is lactose intolerant, so I don't want to use it, but I can't always trade it to the free merchants. They like dehydrated stuff like that. And then just run back, go through my window door, and I spot, oh yeah, I've got the stove here, or the the fireplace, and it's not yet cleaned the water yet, so I get to just ignore that until it cleans the water. It's got most of a day left to clean it out, so I just go back downstairs and then just dump off a bunch of my stuff in here. Start looking at what I want into the freezer, and pretty much the perishables go into the freezer. And then I also check like what did some of my books do. I take apart some things and I take a look around. I read the roadmap, and it does add a few extra roads for me. Namely, it shows me what's on the southern side of the, which is just a bit down here. I skipped that part. I should go back. It shows me where what's across the river, right? So I use the map, and then I take a look, and I'm like, okay, what does it show me? And for the most part, it reveals this area down here. It shows me there's like a railroad here. There's some hotel parking, stuff like that. And I do think about what I'm gonna do after the town, and it's probably maybe follow the road up this way, because then I want to get to the helipad pretty soon. Or I can try to go through this area, cut through the woods. Depending on how I scout it out, I can either go around through the fields or up along the road and into these two towns, and then get to the military helicopter pad, because I don't have a lot of military zombies in it. So I do have just this big pile of stuff sitting on the warehouses there, but I'm gonna take apart all those cell phones, and eventually I might set up some zone storages for my different things, because I got these shelves, and those you can set up zones, and then you can tell your character to auto sort items based on their types into the different spots. So I can do that eventually, but for now I don't have enough to just need to sort. I just throw everything into a big warehouse pile with 3,500 liters of storage space. And then yeah, I learned how to make the forward grip, and I also will be able to make the adjustable stock as well. These are higher than fabrication 4, so on one hand I can learn more fabrication skill by practicing them, but these are two useful weapon mods that they're good for the M4 carbine that I have, that I was using to fight the cyborgs. And they increase your handling, reduce your dispersion, so that's more for high rate of fire shooting. lets you shoot more without worrying about the recoil, because you have to recover from your recoil after every shot. So then I throw a new medium battery into my arc welder, because that's why I cannot craft the adjustable stock. There is another type of stock, a recoil stock as well, but I'm going for that adjustable stock because it gives me reduced dispersion. Toss some of the batteries into the storage. Eventually, I'll learn how to craft that recharging table, but for now, I don't have that. I don't have a way to finish that foot locker charging station. Now, crafting over your skill level will drastically drain your focus, so I do learn very slowly when I'm doing it. So it might not have been the best idea to try to craft these things. But yeah, I kind of take a look. What's the recoil stock? And then what's the adjustable stock? And I decide the dispersion is nice to get rid of. And so then as I'm crafting those, I also look at some of the other things like the onboard chemistry lab. That's something that I'll want to craft at some point because it's better than the kitchen unit that's in that RV, but I might just settle for the kitchen unit in the APC and then put everything and eventually make a chemistry table for my basement area. But I do notice that they added some sheet metal armor types, right? Like the sheet metal skirt here. And I'm like, well, okay, it fits a niche that's not normally fit. And so I kind of take a look at what some of the other crafting options are. It's been a week since I last checked, so they added a couple of different new things. Big one are these sheet metal types here, which will give you like elbow pads, knee pads, shoulder pads, like a chest guard here. Because I was looking for that arm and leg armor. That's when I noticed that, yeah, they have this sheet metal stuff. So like scrap arm guards is just a forearm, whereas there's some others that are like better for covering your full arm. I might just train up my fabrication skill more so I can try to get some higher tier armors done. But yeah, like the sheet metal arm guards there, they need short leather laces, so I'll have to get leather and then chop up the leather into laces. And then, yeah, you'll have your sheet metal. And those are pretty good. Like, I'd be okay with using those for my arms and my legs. And that should reduce the amount of damage that I take when I'm going out clearing the town. So, I don't do that during this yet. And I just kind of take a look. What do I have as crafting options? And I noticed I just got a ton of caffeinated gum. So I'm just going to do a little bit of sorting there. Put the multivitamins away. And then see... my character just doesn't want to go to sleep. So I'm like, you know what? I'll do a little bit of reading, sure. I can't figure out how to turn on the stereo anymore. It doesn't want to turn on, so I mess around with that a little bit and then go back to reading a book while using my MP3 player. And then I decide, you know what, my character's getting hungry, I'll go eat some food, and then I go back to sleep. Wake up, toss some of the books and stuff aside, and then I make my way over to the pond where I have a huge amount of dirty stuff. Cleaning these is going to just save me from having to clean. Like, I can disassemble a lot of these, and then I won't get filthy materials, and then I can use those to do repairs and get stuff in better condition, right? But some of these I do plan on using, like the load-bearing vests and the body armors, but I do end up not bringing my body armors over, and eventually I drag it all over, I bring it back to my place, I sort it out over here, and that's when I'm like, wait, where's the body armor? I know I have a bunch of body armor. So I go into my APC, and I'm like, okay, there's the police ballistic vest. There's the US ballistic vests. These are what I want. So I've got to go and clean those off. And I check, how much other stuff do I have? Right, come over here. And then I bring the ballistic vests out. And some of the sheaths, because they are made of leather, and I do need leather. So, and yeah, I remember, oh yeah, there's the water that's now clean. So I go and I dump the water into the tank, and now I have an empty jerry can, and so I'm going to take that over and also fill that up so that I'm saving my time on multiple trips. Hooray. And then I figure out, okay, what do I want to clean here? I mostly want the ballistic vests. I don't have enough soap on hand right now, so I clean some of it that I want right away. And then I just kind of leave behind the stuff that's dirty, and then I bring the clean stuff with me. And I do compare eventually why I'm going to switch my armor from the dragon skin. But yeah, I kind of store some stuff, do a little bit of inventory sorting. Gonna clean some of that stuff later, because I do want the materials and because the materials are going to let me repair other materials, and then I can break them down, and then you'll get more parts out of them that you can then use to repair other things or do other craft. But I decide to wear the ballistic vest, and then I'm going to compare the ballistic vest with the dragon skin vest. And so we can see the dragon skin vest is 21 kilos, and this is 2.9 kilos. That's a huge difference, 10 times the weight difference. The ballistic vest's encumbrance is low only because it doesn't have the plates installed into it. It'll get up to like 10 when I get the plates loaded in. So, but yeah, this has the plates integrated into the armor. But even then, it's still pretty comparable. But the ballistic vests do get better once you get those ballistic plates installed onto them. And this has mole straps if you want mole straps. But because yeah, you can't repair the dragon skin armor, so it's ultimately still pretty limited. It does have only like a 26% for its highest protection, whereas this is a 95%. And then it's also got the plates that you can install into it. So I end up trying to remember, where do I have my plates at? So I go and I head out. Let's go get those plates, because those are all sitting inside of the APC still. Now, I prefer the steel ballistic plates most of the time. They don't provide as much protection as the ESAPI plates, which are also the chest slots ones. But I only have one of them. Now, the ESBIs, those are for the lower torso pockets or inserts. And there is a repairable version that you can get. But it's a scrap metal one. It's very low protection. So I usually just run these ESBI plates on the lower torso and then the steel ballistic ones, because I can repair these. So eventually I end up with so many ballistic plates that I end up just not using the steel ballistic plates anymore. But that takes a while. You gotta fight a lot of military zombies, and then you can just stockpile lots of ballistic plates. But that does put me up to 10 encumbrance on my armor, but it weighs way less. So that means that I can now carry more loot before I get overweight, because that's been my issue. I have enough volume available because of the duffel bag to carry lots, but I've always been limited by my weight because of the armor. So I'm going to switch that off, And I think I also do a bit of repair work as well, either sometime soon. Yeah, I'd try it out here. Go to see, can I repair? You can use synthetic fabric to repair these steel ballistic plates. A bit weird. And I do have a 6% success chance and a 0.4% failure. So I do that, and, or at least I'm going to do that. But I also check my ballistic vest, and that's a 14% chance. It uses synthetic fabric, and so I'm like, hell yeah. Now it's going to provide me even more protection. So eventually I can take apart some of these other things and get more materials to repair, but ugh. And some of these items you can't repair. They're not repairable, but others I can. And so I end up looking a bit at what I'm going to look at repairing next. I have 3 different types of load-bearing vests. I've got the light ones, the regular ones, and then there's also heavy load-bearing vests as well. And those have different capacities for pockets that you can strap onto them as well. So yeah, you can see I'm looking at the heavy ones, and I'm considering which ones, because I can't really repair them. I don't have enough skill yet. Like this one is a 6%, so I could fairly easily repair that one. I only have 1 thing of synthetic fabric, so I'm kind of hesitant on repairing just yet. The load-bearing vests, you can think of them like a backpack, but for the front of your torso. And pretty much you can use them in, if you're in melee, you just drop the vest off and your backpack off, and then you get into a melee fight, and you come back and you just pick the vest back up. So, or if you're a ranged combat type, then you just keep the vests on and it stores all your ammo. But you can customize these by attaching different kinds of pockets. So at a certain point I end up taking them all apart. Yeah, so I'm going and I'm checking the pockets that are available, and you can remove these. So you activate on the item, and then you go to the remove pockets or attach pockets, depending on what you want to do. So I'm just going to grab all of the vests, and I'm just going to go and take a bit of time, and I just start taking pockets off. Right? A little bit redundant and takes a bit of time, but you get things like holsters, ammo pockets, little backpack pockets, grenade pockets, water canteen pockets. There's a bunch of variety. They have different sizes and length for what kind of items they can have, and it makes it really customizable. It's like a customizable backpack. It starts off with no storage capacity, and then you attach the storage capacity onto it. So you see, I'm already getting like a bunch of things like flashlight pockets, so you can have a dedicated pocket for your flashlight. And then you have more tactical holsters and water pockets. Now, when it comes to how you decide them is honestly just up to you, what you want your vest to do and what you're planning on carrying. So if you're using shotguns, then you'd probably want to go for the pockets that have dedicated shotguns ammo storage, or you could just attach dump pouches. Dump pouches are just one big pocket and just throw stuff into it. And so then I look at some of the stats on them, like the heavy load-bearing vests. They by default are 4 encumbrance. Meanwhile, for every one that you put on, pocket you put on, you add encumbrance onto them. So gadget pouch is 1. Some of them have 0 by default. So like the chest ammo pockets are 0 encumbrance by default, and then if you load magazines into them, then they go up to 1 encumbrance. Yeah, tactical grenade ones, those are nice. They're nice dedicated pocket for a grenade to throw. And you can use them to craft certain types of other vests. Like you can, there's one that lets you attach a sling so that you can have a weapon or a rifle attached to the single point sling. In order for me to do that, I found that I take a look at it a bit later into here at some point, and yeah, I'm kind of looking at some of my tools, because the tools have a volume and a length, and some of these pockets have specifically certain volume and length limitations. So I'm like, which pockets are actually going to be useful for me if I wanted like a pocket for my flashlight or my EMF detector or something like that. But I also look at, yeah, right here, I'm gonna take a look, and I decide to look for load bearing vests, and you can see there's 2 types that it can do right now, one with the heavy and the other with the regular vest. And these let me attach a single point sling to the vest, and then that's going to give, I think it's a 47-inch length item can attach to it. And so that works for things like axes, and some types of long swords as well can go there, which makes it a very useful way to holster a weapon if you need to. And yeah, I kind of look at some of these other things like the army helmets. I can get a better one just by equipping some of these, but you repair them with the soldering iron. It takes plastic chunks, has a pretty, yeah, it's not ideal, but I end up taking one of the slightly less damaged army helmets to repair and see if that'll actually like work. And so it's down here. I go and try to see, can I repair? But it is a 2% success, 2% failure. So I'm like, do I go for it? And I decide, nope. I don't want to break my helmet for no reason. So I just put the slightly less damaged one on, so I have a little more head protection. Even though it's mostly my arms taking damage right now, and I just decide to drop off all these pockets and the load-bearing vests. I'm just gonna dump them all into one pile, which is up here. And I think it might be around this time that I decide to do a bit of crafting. Yeah, I craft the forward grip and the adjustable stock, and the reason for that is to try to train my fabrication up higher. I do fail a couple of times, so I end up using a lot more materials, and some of it, like this failure, took a lot of materials, but in doing so I get to train my fabrication up a bit. Not a lot, because my focus is so low due to all of the things that I have to learn. It drains my focus a lot. But I go and check to see, because attaching mods requires certain kinds of skills. And so I need, I think, a level 2 rifle in order to attach these, and I'm only a level 1 rifle. So once I realized that, because I went downstairs, checked, saw, oh yeah, I don't have enough rifle skill. So I just drop off the carbine with the adjustable stock and the forward grip. I might end up training that up later, but just so I can attach those attachments. But it's not a big priority. especially since I'm a melee main right now. I check my fabrication skill, like what could I craft just to get up? And I think I end up doing the plastic buttons because it's a fabrication 4, and I do know I need buttons in order to make the single point sling. If I ever want to make a single point sling, those are very useful. As yeah, they don't take up a lot of encumbrance, and you just throw one on, and it would allow me to have a wider variety of weapons that I can use, because right now I'm just using the wood axe and the wood axe belt holder thingy. So I decide, let's make the button. It's going to take some time, but that's going to guarantee that I get my fabrication level up. So right there, boom, level 5 fabrication. And I need to eat, so I've just shoved a bunch of fruit jam down after I eat some pork sticks. These fruit jams come in 3-liter jars, so I kind of want to eat up at least one of those jars worth so that I get a 3-liter jar out of it. There's not a lot of things you can do with that, but I take a look. What is the stuff I learned from leveling up my fabrication? And a lot of it's mostly bronze stuff, right? Plated leather as well, but yeah, it's mostly just bronze. Some tools that I can craft. So like I said, I'm just gonna tear apart some of these radios as well. Gives me some batteries, and the light disposable batteries are one of the crafting requirements for making some types of welding rods as well. So yeah, here I'm like, oh yeah, I can repair my wood axe. So I go to my repair kit, and I end up repairing my wood axe here. So now it'll deal its full damage again, which is great. That'll make it easier to take out the zombies. And then I go, because it's daytime and I'm fully healed, I'm like, let's go chop up some more zombies during the day. And I take a look. See, like, how do I want to approach these zombies? Just going right up this road, I'd aggro a little too many. There is a double rifle case up there, which is nice. Could be nice anyway. But I'm gonna go around. This is a dollar store. And I go and take a look. It's got a bunch of random assorted thingies inside of it. I take a look at this side, but I cleared up to this point last night, so it's mostly safe. And yeah, I just checked. Oh yeah, it's the dollar store. I'm like, why is there all this random stuff in here? It's got a couple of dry goods, like the dry foods is here, and then it's got random materials in these other areas, and letter envelopes. So let's just skip on through that. And then yeah, I go around. I'm looking at this part of the map here, and I'm just making sure that I'm aggroing the right stuff. So I do want to make sure I'm only gonna be fighting a couple of zombies at a time, not too many. So I'm just checking things out. And there's a house over here that I might eventually check out once I clear out these zombies, but I start moving over to the side here to make sure I fight them one at a time. And then I check my torso encumbrance just to make sure. And yeah, I take a hit, left leg, and there's a cockroach. So that tells me that this house has a bunch of cockroaches in it. So they are a pain in the butt because of their high flea. And there's a smartphone. always take the smartphone so you can get those high capacity batteries. Now, because this guy just smashed up the window, what's going to happen is I look at the map here and I notice all the red. And I'm like, look at that. 3 zombies coming out of the window. Unfortunately, there's a lot of open space. That was something I noticed as I was coming up here. And I was looking around to see if there's a better way to approach this fight so that I don't have to fight in the open, but not a whole lot of luck in this area. But most of the zombies aren't going to come all together at once, so. Now the hazmat guy, he sometimes can have some good loot. If he has a hazmat suit, that's really nice. We can see he has a UPS. If you put a battery into that, a big one, you can, it requires heavy batteries, but that lets you power wireless, it's like a wireless power source. So some items can have a UPS to them, and that thing is going to provide power to those items. So cybernetics, for example, UPS will power your cybernetics. And yeah, here I'm gonna try to fight the cockroaches, and of course by missing it hits me and causes bleed right away. And then miss, hits me twice, causes lots of bleeding. I got 3 bleeds on me, which is, yes, that's why I hate cockroaches. They're not deep bleeds, but yeah, I take off the weapon and put pressure on the wounds anyway. And yeah, I think I activated the wood axe instead of equipping it. So I'm like, hey, wield it. Yeah, there's the zombies. So I'm like, let's just kill that one. And then there's the headless one over here. And then a couple of other zombies inside the building showed up. He has pipe fittings on him. And yeah, I'm checking my stamina because I'm starting to hear the stamina noise. So smash him up. He's got smartphones and candy peanuts. Yeah, this zombie sees me. It's gonna come over. So I decide let's fight him in the bush. And then this feral now sees me. So I'm just gonna check what loot they have, and then I decide I don't want to fight him out in the open because he's gonna throw rocks at me. So I move over here into the darkness, so he's gonna have to move right into this. It's gonna give him a bunch of movement speed, or it's gonna cost him a lot of movement points to get into that window. And when I run, I can run in and hit him well before he can, throw a rock at me or something. And then there's a little baby cockroach here. Lots of missing, but yeah, there we go. There's quite a few locked doors here, so I can't easily get in. And it's around this point that I'm like, and it's being over 1 hour and 10 minutes, and I'm like, hey, it's time to end the video, I think. And then I realized later on, somebody commented that, hey, there's no mic audio. And I'm like, oh my god. OBS, why? Anyway. I end up heading out, taking a look and deciding, yeah. It's about good to call it at the video. Got a lot of dead zombies over here. So I got this area now sort of caught up. I'm going to move over to that gun store and some of these other houses up here, and eventually I'll be able to get to that hospital. So that'll be it for the video. Take care.